This is a tune called Forever, and it's interesting because it's in 5/4, which is not your normal pop song meter. Most pop songs are in 4, but there have been some pretty cool hits, actually, believe it or not, in an odd meter. So when DarWin came to me with this song, I thought, part of the song's in 5, part of it is in 4, but we've got to make it seamless. So the listener almost doesn't know which parts are in 5 and which parts are in 4. So that's a lot of my concept when putting together a track like this into play. I'm going to play the first groove, which basically I'm playing all the beats anyway with a side stick. And it goes something like this. So it's a very consistent beat. Dynamics and consistency are very important when recording. So each side stick hit, I try to make them exactly the same level, because when it comes to recording and mixing, it makes it a lot easier for the engineer to mix. If you're playing with lots of different dynamics like this, all over the place, it's very difficult to mix that. So that's the first thing I think of when playing a part like that, is consistency. The second thing is you could get really fussy with the hi-hat, but I like to keep it very simple because it's the song. It's not a drum feature. The drums are just supplying a supportive role for the singer. So I hear sometimes tracks where the hi-hat kind of goes crazy, a little bit like this. No, it's just not the right groove. It's got to be simple and straightforward and to the point. It's already in 5, so it's a little challenging. The other thing is the kick drum, which is basically going. Sometimes it's nice to put a little slip beat in there, skip beat, like this. But again, you have to be very tasteful about how you use that. The chorus. Chorus groove is in 4, and it's a pretty straightforward groove. So I'm just going to play a little bit to demonstrate that. Again, the backbeat needs to be really consistent, simple 8 feel on the hi-hat. And all I'm doing is this little hi-hat opening, which is coming in between all the beats, which kind of gives it a nice lilt to the groove. And again, it's important not to play too hard, not to play too loud. Generally, when you force the issue and play hard, the groove goes. It doesn't feel as good. Also, the drums don't sound as good when you're slamming them. It's nice to have a bit of headroom there. Also, the end of the song gets much louder. So even in a recording environment, you still have to have dynamics. General rule of thumb is when you're playing live, you can have huge dynamics. But when you're recording, you kind of have to be your own built-in compressor. You have to play maybe a little louder than you'd want to in the quiet passages, and then maybe not quite so crazy loud in the loud passages. It's just easier to record. It ends up sounding better. All right, the next part of the song is we have a soprano solo. So one thing I like to do in productions is have different colors for different parts of the song. Most of the song is a vocal song. There's a vocal there. So you don't want to take your attention too much away from the voice by having all these weird kind of different drum sounds happening. However, we've got a different voice coming in now. We have a soprano player. So, and it's a fairly light section. It's not a real heavy section. And there are two sections of the solo. So I decided to do the first part on a different snare drum. I have this little, I call it a popcorn. It's a 10-inch miniature snare drum. So I thought that would be kind of cool for the soprano groove. So this is that bit. And then, second part of the soprano solo, it gets a little heavier. I go back to the main snare drum. So you get this kind of coloration change. That's kind of a cool thing to do. 2 snare drums, which I've been using now, actually 3, for a long time. It's great to change the color of a song in the middle, which is quite fun. Then the last bit of the song, the outro, is a really big section. It gets pretty full. There's strings in there. There's a lot of different guitar parts, a lot of different synth parts. So again, and it's all in 5. So that has to be really strong, really stated, not too busy, but with some exciting fills in there as well. And this is the opportunity to open out the end of the song. So I'll play the groove for the end. Jeff Babco, when he was writing the string part, he actually picked up on a couple of fills that I played and had the strings copy the same beats, basically, of those fills, which is always a fun thing to do. Now, the whole outro is in 5, but right at the very end, I actually play 4 right across the 5, which is kind of cool. It doesn't really change the feel. Feel remains the same, it's just the backbeat comes in a different place. So I'll just demonstrate that going from 5 into 4. And that is the end of Forever.